Hello, today we're focusing on the Frozen Shadow 2, Whispering Darkness. Alright, let the story begin. Detective Henry Hoffman was a man of few words, but his reputation spoke for him. He had seen it all: murders, disappearances, horror that would leave most men broken, but nothing haunted him quite like the case that brought him into the remote Canadian town of Black Hollow. The locals were tight-lipped about what happened to the young woman named Sophia, who had been found frozen solid in the forest. Hoffman had read the reports. What did the report said? A face twisted in terror, eyes wide open, and no logical explanation for how her body had ended up in that condition. The case had been closed as accidental death. But something didn't sit right with Hoffman. He had the gut feeling that something far more sinister was at play. The air was thick with the scent of pine and snow. As Hoffman stepped out of his car, the cold biting at his face. He lit his cigarette, the smoke curling around him as he surveyed the quiet town. The residents eyed him worryingly from their windows, their face pale and drawn. He knew fear when he saw it. Hoffman's investigation led him to the forest where Sophia had met her gruesome end. The locals warned him not to go there, especially at night. But Hoffman was easily wanted to go there. The man wanted to go explore. What happened to Sophia? Yeah, what happened to her? Well, I'll tell you. With a flashlight in one hand and a cigarette in the other, he ventured into the dark woods. The deeper he went, the more he could feel the oppressive weight of the place. The trees were twisting. And weird blood started coming out of the trees. There were branches reaching out like claws, and the snow beneath his feet crunched unnaturally loud. In the silence, the whisper began, low and barely audible. You can tell. As if the wind itself was speaking to him. He paused, his breath visible in the icy air. Something was off. His flashlight flickered, casting an eerie shadow that danced between the trees. He took another drag of his cigarette, tried to steady his nerves, but the feeling of being watched was unbelievable. "Show yourself!" Hoffman muttered, his voice rough. A shadow moved at the edge of his vision. He spun around, but there was nothing there. Just the darkness. And the wind. He wasn't alone. He could feel it in his bones. Hoffman could continue deeper in the forest, following an instinct he couldn't quite explain. The whisperings grew louder, the forming words that he couldn't understand, but their instincts was clear. They warned him to go back. They wanted him to go back, but Hoffman proceeded on, determined to uncover the truth. He came to a clearing where the trees parted, revealing a frozen pond. The surface was smooth, covered in a thin layer of ice that glittered under the moonlight, the reflection. He approached the edge, his flashlight sweeping over the ice, and then he saw it. Beneath the ice, a face stared up at him. A face twisted in terror, eyes wide open, and a mouth frozen in silence. A silent scream. Sophia. But it wasn't just her. There were others, their body. There were others, their bodies preserved under the ice like gruesome trophies. Men, women, children, all frozen to death. All frozen in death. Their expressions mirroring the horror they had experienced in their final moments. Hoffman stepped back, his heart racing. The whispers grow louder, almost deafening now, as if the forest itself was screaming at him. He stumbled, dropping his flashlight, and the beam of light rolled across the ice, illumining something. At the far edge of the pond, a figure stood there, tall and thin, with eyes that glowed a sticky yellow in the darkness. It was the same figure that had haunted Sophia for Sophia's final moments. It began to move towards him. It stepped slow. Hoffman reached for his gun, but his fingers were numb. Barely able to grip the handle, he aimed at the figure, but didn't stop. It came closer and closer until it was just a few feet away. Hoffman could see its face now, pale, grunt, with the same unnatural smile that stretched far too wide. He fired at the figure, didn't even flinch. The bullet passed through it as if it were made of smoke. And the figure only smiled wider. Hoffman felt a cold hand close around his throat. The icy grip seeping into his bones. The whispers grew louder, forming a single word that echoed his mind.
Welcome.
As the figure tightened its grip, Hawkman's vision blurred, and he felt himself slipping away. But just before the darkness consumed him, he noticed something, a reflection in the ice. It was him, his face twisted in terror, his eyes wide open, and his mouth frozen in a silent scream. The townspeople found Detective Hoffman the next morning, frozen solid in the clearing by the pond. His face was locked in a look of unimaginable horror. His cigarette still was on his mouth, between his fingers, clutched between his fingers. The case was closed. Another accidental death in Black Hollow, and the town returned to its uneasy silence. But deep in the forest, under the ice, the whispers continued. They spoke of a new revival, a man, few words, with a redemption that preceded him, now trapped forever in the frozen shadows. Anyways, guys, I hope you liked the story. It was pretty creepy to me. I hope it's pretty creepy to you. Just remember that I said,
Oh, yay! Be sure to like and subscribe before the demon comes after you. Oh, yay!